So congratulations on getting access to this video course on how to find your perfect buyer. I believe that by the end of this video course, you will have a totally different mindset. This is something that really hasn't been talked about a lot on the internet. And I really feel like this is one of the main reasons why a lot of people tend to fail when it comes to building businesses online. So this is going to be the introduction and quick overview, and I'll talk about the video course as a whole, and then we're going to talk about mindset and why selling to your audience is more important than, selling your products and service straight up. I mean, that's fine to do later on, but that's oftentimes where people start and fail. So really what we want to do is we want to set you up for success, right? And then we're going to talk about mind mapping tools that will help speed up the process of implementation to help you successfully get on the right path. Okay, so before we get started and talk about mindset and mind mapping tools, I want to give you a quick videos overview of what's inside this video course so you know exactly what to expect. And as you understand how the whole process works, you'll be able to implement this at a faster rate. This is, of course, video number one. Video number two is going to be about researching your competition. Now, the reason why you want to research your competition is because at this point in time, your competition, especially the ones that are doing well in the market and dominating the market, are actually gathering data that you need. So they already have the customers, they already have the traffic, and all you have to do is simply look at them and look at who their buyers are so that you have the right information and you'll be able to figure out who your perfect buyer is, what their likes are, what their dislikes are, and everything of that nature. Video number three is we're going to talk about the basics of profile. So after we have gathered the competition, we want to begin to profile our perfect buyers. And I'll talk more about that, utilizing certain tools that you can use to find that data out. Once we have figured out the basic data, such as who the person is, maybe their age, maybe their income, maybe their education level, we can actually gather even more intel. But before we can do that, we need the basics so that we can match things up and make sure that we are actually headed the right direction. And it'll make more sense when I actually go into that particular video. Video number five, we're going to talk about some shortcuts. So over the years, I've done this many times, and I've figured out some shortcuts to help you speed the process up. So we'll talk about shortcuts in video number five. And video number six, we're going to talk about a typical day that your perfect buyer goes through. Now, the reason why you want to do this is because it's going to reveal to you a lot about your perfect buyer. What does their day look like? What are their insecurities? What are their fears? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Everything about them to the point that if you place your product and service right in front of them, will they actually buy it, or will they just totally ignore you? So that's just something good to know before you actually build up your products and services. Because a lot of people make the mistake of just launching their products and services, not realizing who their perfect buyer is, and then of course later on wondering, why in the world is their product and service not selling? I'm sure you've been there, and I've been there as well. And you have made the right choice in taking this first step. And then, of course, video number seven, we're going to talk about media mapping. So what that is we are going to utilize certain media sources to really go deeper and dive deeper into understanding the perspective of your perfect buyer. What are things that they like to watch? What are things that they don't like? And it'll just make things more evident to you as far as putting yourselves in their shoes. Because sometimes putting yourself in other people's shoes is a hard thing to do. Just saying, hey, put yourself in those shoes and think like them, that's not always an easy thing to do. But this media mapping in video number 7, that will definitely clear things up. And of course, last but not least, we have video number 8, which is going to be talking about buying habits. So this is going to reveal to us what they buy. And by knowing that and knowing the habits, how much money do they spend and everything like that, that is going to reveal to you future products and services that you can open up at a later date. So this is not just finding the perfect buyer, it's finding what they want at the end of the day. So you see why this is so important and how it's going to make a huge difference in your business? Well, hopefully at this point you are excited as much as I am excited about teaching this to you and helping you out. So let's talk about mindset. Now, up until this point, you kind of realize that it is so important to find that perfect buyer. So really what I want you to do before you even begin this video course is to understand that the biggest mistake that most product owners make is selling their features alone. So if you build, say for example, a piece of software, a lot of people tell, this software can do this, it can do that. But really what it comes down to is your perfect buyer, or maybe your non-responsive buyer even, they're still thinking what's in it for me, right? So that comes down to benefits. How does maybe the software can speed the process up, but the benefit in that case is that it can save time. And if you know their typical day, you can say it saves time. So, if you're trying to rush and get your kids ready, if you know that that is your particular demographic, then you can speak to them, right? But if you know that, let's say, for example, that they're retired, you can say, well, the kids are out of the house, you're waking up, you're looking for things to do, or you're looking to build your business or whatever that they are trying to do, then you know how to speak to them, right? So that's why benefits are so crucial. Now, you have probably been hammered down and been taught that benefits are crucial, but let me challenge that at the same time. Let me ask you, how do you know if these benefits are really the benefits of your perfect buyer? Because if you don't know your perfect buyer, how do you know if those benefits really are impactful? Do you know even what your perfect buyer looks like? Do you know what their typical day looks like? And do you know their fears and what gets them excited? So you see what I mean here? You need to know your perfect buyer. And without any of that information or that type of intelligence or data about your perfect buyer, you don't even know if the benefits are even going to be impactful or not. So hopefully at this point in time, you have a better perspective of why we are taking this particular approach and why this particular mindset is crucial. So moving on, I want to talk about mind mapping tools. And the reason why is because this is not really required, but that definitely can help you brainstorm and implement things a lot faster. So as far as implementation goes, once you've mapped things out, map out your typical perfect buyer's typical day. If you can map that out, you can always go back to it and take a look at it. It's just easier for the brain to understand things when you map things out. I personally use a free iPhone mind mapping tool. You don't have to spend anything else. You can spend $2, $3 to upgrade to a paid version if you would like. But there are tons of free mind mapping tools out there that you can use. Now, if you like free mind mapping tools that you can utilize on your desktop computer, then you might want to check out Xmind. I personally use a software called Lucidchart, and Lucidchart is one of the best paid flowchart tools out there, and definitely will help you kind of map out things out of your mind. And that way you take a look at it in the future, like I said, it's just going to make things a lot easier. So with that said, let's move on to video number 2. Hello and welcome back. This is video number 2, and what we're going to do in this particular video is we are going to research your competition. Now, in doing so, what I recommend that you go ahead and do is open up some sort of notepad, or if you want to write it down, that's fine. But just keep a paper and pencil or some sort of notepad ready so that you can jot down the websites. Now, this is not really complex. What we're looking for is high traffic competitors that might be doing really well, because the more traffic that they are getting, the more these particular tools that we are using will reveal. All right, so let's get started. So the first site that I want you to go ahead and go to is called Quantcast.com. That's QUANTCAST. Now, I used to use Quantcast to figure out demographics, but I don't really do it anymore, just because some of the sites will have demographic data and some of them will not. Really what I'm trying to figure out is what are the high traffic websites. So if you go to Quantcast.com, you click Explore, and you type in a keyword. You can type a domain name if you want to, but like I said, we are creating a list of domain names. So go ahead and jot down the keyword that best describes your general niche. Don't be too specific just yet. So in this case, let's say, for example, that I want to create a product or service that primarily appeals to gardeners. So I'm going to type in garden and go ahead and click enter. And Quantcast, as you can see, the free version of this tool is showing the top 3. So as you can see, these are the top 3. This one obviously tells us that US rank is 3,200 and US reach is 600,000. Now, you might want to visit these websites and just make sure that these kind of fit what you're trying to sell, because there have been cases where even though you type in the keyword, the website might be something totally different than what you are trying to sell. Or maybe the demographics for this site is totally different than the demographics of this site. So what I recommend that you do is just go ahead and click on one of these. We can go ahead and view the site and just make sure that that is the type of site that we want to create. So as we can see, this is more of a how-to educational site, which is great. It's a great site with a lot of content posts. So essentially what they're doing is they're branding. So maybe you want to build something like this and you want to attract people in. You want to attract a perfect buyer in, gain their trust so that you can ultimately sell other things. So this is what the site looks like. We can see that it's about gardening, house plants, problems plants might face, lawn care, composting, and other gardening help. So we can see that for the majority of the case, that is our audience. So if that's the case, we want to definitely copy this. I'm going to open up Notepad and put that URL in here. Now that we have this URL, in order to find other URLs, what we need to do is I'm going to close down Quantcast and this site here. There are 2 other sites that I would recommend. Similarsites.com, which basically, if you enter a URL of a website, it'll tell you all of the other websites that are similar to that website. So if I go ahead and press enter here, we can see that gardeningknowhow.com. We scroll down, we see these ads here, and these are not related at all. So just ignore these for now. And then you see Garden Web. So I'm going to open that in a new link. Garden guides, we have yard care, we have helpful gardener, and garden.org. So I'm going to open the top 5 open and just take a look. So we have gardenweb.com, and if I go to the site, let's go to the site and check it out. Sometimes you have to highlight it and just go to the site directly. We can get an idea of a hyper-responsive buyer too if you look through here, and sometimes if they have forums, that'll give you a good chance to see what kind of questions people are asking, kind of their frustrations, their likes, their dislikes, and just to get a feel for what that person looks like. And also, when you look at the websites, is there similarities within the websites? We can see there's a navigation bar, it talks about gardening, kind of like the other site. And then, of course, we have gardenguides.com, which sounds familiar to the other garden know-how website. And if we take a look here, we have gardening design, spaces, diseases, and it's very interesting how it's broken up. It looks very, very similar. So gardenguides.com actually is very, very similar to gardeningknowhow.com. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the rest of these. We have yardcare.com, helpfulgardener.com, which I think probably would be a lot more targeted. So let's just go to the site here. And what I'm doing here, as you can see, is just looking and seeing if I can find similar patterns throughout all these websites. So we can see garden design. I saw a lot of gardening design, in fact, in the other websites. We can see organic gardening, forums, and more. So I'm beginning to kind of see that this is very similar to the other sites, except for the design of it is not as good as the other ones. So now that I have 3 websites, I'm pretty much good to go now. Now, I want to offer you a different website as well, a similarweb.com. This is a paid tool, but you can still enter these websites in here and find more data about these websites. So if I click that, enter gardeningknowhow.com, you can actually see the rank within worldwide, within US, and the global rank. So this kind of gives us a better picture of the website itself. We can see that it's getting a massive amount of traffic, mainly from the US, Australia, UK, Canada, and India. We can see that the most traffic was from search volume. So this is kind of painting a picture, as we call it. We can see referrals, basically what sites are they coming from. We can see search, we can see social. We can see a lot of these people seem to be on Facebook and Pinterest, which kind of fits it because Pinterest is where a lot of visual people go to, people that are kind of gardeners go to. We see audience interest, so this is kind of reveals to us potential buying habits. But right now we're not really interested in doing too much research. We just want to get an idea of what that basic picture looks like. So you can enter the other ones in here, but that's fine. All we need to do is create that list, as you can see here. And as you can see, we have a list of 3 websites, and that's all we need right now. So in the next video, we're going to take it a step further, but for now, that's all you need. So go ahead and do that right now, and I'll see you in video number 3.